The sudden, jarring sound of the patrol car sirens sliced through the late afternoon calm of Georgetown, Washington, D.C., a noise that, throughout my professional life, had always signified order, command, and authority. I was behind the wheel of my custom-ordered Tesla Model S Plaid, a vehicle I'd purchased with 2 decades of hard-earned federal pay and bonuses, a symbol of my persistence in a high-stakes, male-dominated world. The flashing lights, blue and red, pulsed with an unmistakable aggression just inches from my rear bumper, an intensity far beyond that of a simple traffic warning. I hadn't exceeded the speed limit. My hands were perfectly aligned at 10 and 2. Yet, I recognized the distinct, acrid smell of prejudice, the kind that targets and profiles based on a single glance. My name is Director Valerie Hayes. I am 54 years old, and my entire professional identity is defined by my role at the Government Accountability Office, GAO, where I oversee audits and integrity for some of the nation's most sensitive federal agencies. My luxury car, sitting perfectly within its lane, was instantly deemed a flagrant object of suspicion by the local officer, simply because of the identity of the person driving it. I pulled the vehicle to a smooth stop, engaging the parking brake with the professional calmness that comes from navigating high-pressure congressional hearings. I immediately turned off the power. My hands rested clearly on the wheel, awaiting the confrontation. In the side mirror, I watched the officer, a young man whose badge I could now clearly read as Officer Ryan Kelly, a man who looked barely old enough to vote, exit his cruiser. His posture was stiff, an obvious attempt to project an authority he hadn't yet earned, his hand conspicuously placed over his holstered weapon. I knew exactly the narrative he was constructing in his head. An affluent black woman, alone in a $140,000 electric vehicle, driving through a neighborhood where the residents primarily worked in the agencies I oversaw. For him, the image was an inconvenient truth that had to be exposed, a deviation from the expected demographic norm that required correction. This was less a traffic stop and more an audition for a promotion. He approached my window, his face tight and severe, devoid of the basic respect taught in any entry-level academy. "License and registration, ma'am. Immediately," he demanded, his voice carrying an accusatory edge. I maintained my absolute composure, the steely reserve I deployed when confronting high-ranking officials attempting to hide millions in fraudulent spending. "Certainly, officer," I replied, my voice a low, unwavering contralto. As I smoothly retrieved my wallet and documents, I watched his eyes flick from the car's interior to the bespoke leather seats, to the personalized license plate holder. Every sign of professional success was, in his narrow worldview, just further proof of criminality. He snatched the documents from my hand, treating my state-issued license like a forgery under review. "Is this vehicle actually registered to you?" he pressed, his tone dripping with skepticism, implying theft or illegal acquisition before I had even spoken a second word. I didn't flinch. "Yes, Officer Kelly, it is mine, legally purchased." I repeat, did I commit a specific traffic violation that necessitates this stop? My directness momentarily stunned him. He expected a defensive stutter, not a challenge issued with the calm precision of a federal director. It was in that pause, as he frantically searched for his footing, that his glance fell into the back seat. There, folded neatly inside a protective garment bag, was my official GAO director's executive uniform. His focus sharpened, not on the suit jacket, but on the insignia visible beneath the plastic, the silver shield and eagle pins signifying my rank as a director of special investigations. The shift in his demeanor was immediate and total. The arrogance evaporated, replaced by a dawning terror. He hadn't pulled over a suspected criminal. He had just accosted a federal executive, an officer with the authority to audit his entire department's funding. The professional mistake of his lifetime was unfolding right in front of his eyes. The color drained from Officer Kelly's face with alarming speed. His jaw slackened, and his hand dropped away from his holstered weapon, as if the plastic had suddenly become searing hot. The silence between us stretched, heavy with the weight of my 2+ decades spent tirelessly defending the nation's fiscal integrity. My sacrifices, my merit, my very identity, all discarded and judged in seconds by this young man's prejudice. Already, 3 other police cruisers were rolling up, their lights creating a chaotic, blinding tableau around my car, solidifying the public spectacle of this unlawful stop. "Officer Kelly," I stated, my voice now carrying a quiet, controlled frost, "you are currently holding the credentials of a federal director. You are out of compliance with basic operational procedure. I require you to return my documents and provide the specific, legal justification for this detention, as required by the Constitution." He stammered, attempting to recover his composure, his professionalism utterly shattered. "Director, I apologize, but the vehicle, the area, we had a report of a high-profile suspect. It was protocol to verify. I need to continue my verification." This was an obvious, desperate attempt to create a legal shield after the fact, a gross act of official misconduct. Yet, emboldened by the silent presence of his backup, he refused to let go of his false narrative. He ordered me out of the vehicle. I complied instantly, stepping out and standing rigid, my posture reflecting the thousands of hours spent in secure federal buildings, commanding respect. "I need you to open the trunk, ma'am, and stand here with your hands visible," he instructed, his voice regaining some false confidence. I handed him the key fob. The electric thunk of the trunk opening was the definitive auditory sign of his self-destruction. He searched with a predatory intensity, clearly expecting to find illicit goods. Instead, he found nothing but my GAO Executive Field Kit, containing encrypted communications gear and, most significantly, a glass-encased Congressional Commendation Medal for leading the investigation that exposed corruption within the very police retirement fund he hoped to one day collect from. Officer Kelly's hands froze as he pulled out the Congressional Commendation, a medal few civilians ever see. He didn't recognize its significance, but he knew it looked expensive and official. "And what is this? Some kind of novelty item? You carrying around fake badges now?" He scoffed, his fear momentarily masked by his ingrained cynicism. "That medal is a Congressional Commendation, officer, earned through years of dedicated federal service," I informed him, my voice flat, holding back the profound rage welling up inside me. He ignored the truth, mocking the medal's intricate design. And then, with a casual flick of his wrist, he dropped the polished silver and gold award onto the asphalt. It hit the ground with a soft yet deafening clink, a sound that signaled a total disregard for my honor, my service, and the institution that awarded it. "Sir, that action constitutes official misconduct and is grounds for immediate federal investigation," I warned him, my voice devoid of emotion. He ignored me, ordering me to turn around and place my hands on the trunk. I complied, knowing that all of the officer's body cameras were meticulously recording his every violation of my constitutional rights and every piece of disrespect. My fate, and more importantly, the future of his department's funding, was sealed. If your blood pressure spiked when Officer Kelly disrespected that Congressional Commendation, if you felt that deep, burning indignity of being judged and dismissed based purely on assumption, then you are exactly where you need to be. This is more than a story. It's a raw confrontation with systemic failure. And we believe that shining a light on these moments is the first step toward genuine change. Did Director Hayes' unwavering composure speak to your own resilience? Have you ever had to fight to be seen for your actual accomplishments, not for someone's preconceived notion? Don't just watch this alone. Share your story in the comments below. Your bravery in sharing your own moment of truth is what fuels our community. And if you value this raw honesty and this dedication to accountability, please take the simplest, most meaningful step you can. Subscribe. It's not just a click. It's an investment in a platform dedicated to telling the stories of the brave, the resilient, and the unstoppable. Now, hold your breath, because Amelia is about to activate her federal power. In the back of the squad car, Officer Kelly's breathing was erratic, shallow. He was attempting to write a cohesive report while glancing nervously at me. I sat utterly still, my silence amplifying his mounting terror. He was convinced I was a liability, a momentary inconvenience. He had no idea I was a bomb set to detonate his entire precinct's budget. Once at the station, he moved me into a small, windowless interrogation room, hoping to intimidate me into signing a statement. When I demanded my phone call, citing my rights, he stalled, attempting to maximize my discomfort. He finally relented, pushing the phone toward me with a sneer. He expected me to call a local lawyer or maybe my husband. Instead, I bypassed legal altogether and dialed the personal number for the GAO Deputy Comptroller General. "This is Director Phoenix 7, I spoke, using my highly secure, non-public agency code. "Detained by local law enforcement, DC Metropolitan Police, 2nd District Precinct. Time of detention, 5:02 p.m. Violations: illegal stop, unwarranted search, official misconduct, and desecration of a congressional award. Requesting immediate dispatch of the Chief Audit Counsel and notification to the House Oversight Committee." I dropped the phone back onto the table, the small clatter echoing the shock I saw registering on Officer Kelly's face. He knew those names, those titles. He knew the GAO didn't handle traffic. It handled systemic federal corruption. Within 20 minutes, the precinct's front desk erupted into chaos. 4 black unmarked sedans, not police, but federal agency cars, pulled up to the entrance. Out emerged the GAO Chief Audit Counsel, flanked by 2 senior attorneys and the Inspector General for the Department of Justice. The DC Police Chief of Staff, a man who relied heavily on the federal grants I supervised, stormed into the interrogation room, his face a sickly shade of gray. He grabbed Kelly by the uniform. "Kelly! Who in the blazing hell did you arrest? She runs the entire Federal Police Accountability Task Force FPAT budget." The Chief Audit Counsel formally ordered my release and demanded all body camera footage and paperwork. I accepted no apologies. I insisted on being moved to the chief's personal office. There, still shaken but utterly composed, I sat down with the Inspector General. We immediately began the formal review of the body camera evidence. The footage was pristine. Officer Kelly's manufactured cause, his arrogance, the mocking of my award, and the blatant constitutional violations. My decision was finalized and communicated with clinical detachment to the Chief of Staff. "Sir, this is beyond a matter of individual misconduct. This is a systemic failure in training, supervision, and ethics, funded by federal dollars. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I will be testifying before the House Oversight Committee. I will present this incident as Exhibit A for the immediate and indefinite suspension of all FPAT grants to this precinct and recommend a full, top-to-bottom federal audit of your hiring and training protocols. This will be the national test case for accountability." The DC police leadership immediately understood. I wasn't just taking away their money. I was exposing their fraud on a national stage. The next morning, my testimony before the House Oversight Committee was a masterclass in professional deconstruction. Standing before the members in my full director's uniform, I presented the body camera footage, allowing Congress to witness the public desecration of a congressional commendation and the violation of a federal officer's rights. My voice, recorded in the congressional record, was clear and damning. My experience is proof of a fundamental flaw in the federal to local funding pipeline. I currently oversee and certify over $300 million in annual federal grants for local law enforcement training and equipment modernization. I am here to announce my formal recommendation for the immediate suspension of all grant funding to the Metropolitan Police Department until they submit to a complete federally managed overhaul of their anti-bias and constitutional policing training. The financial and political fallout was immediate and catastrophic. The department lost millions, forcing massive layoffs, the termination of specialized task forces, and the end of all equipment contracts. My ordeal became the legislative blueprint for the Hayes Accountability Act. This legislation mandated non-negotiable, federally certified and audited bias training every quarter, created a new civilian-led Federal Police Oversight Board, FPOB, and guaranteed the automatic forfeiture of pensions for any officer convicted of felony civil rights violations. Officer Kelly was fired and subsequently indicted by federal prosecutors. He was found guilty of several civil rights counts and sentenced to 4 years in federal prison, losing every penny of the pension he had sought to earn through corruption. His former precinct was placed under a consent decree and underwent a total restructuring led by federal monitors for the next 3 years. The training materials across the nation's police academies were rewritten, featuring the Hayes incident as the essential graphic example of abuse of authority and its professional cost. 5 years later, I still drive my Tesla through Georgetown. My journey had come full circle. I felt no personal satisfaction in Officer Kelly's ruin. My victory was systemic. The precinct now operating in the 2nd District was the first in the nation to be fully certified under the Hayes Accountability Act. The officers patrolling those streets received quarterly bias training, understood the consequences of profiling, and treated all citizens, regardless of their car or background, with professional, constitutional respect. My legacy wasn't just the investigations I had led, it was the integrity I forced back into the system. My story, the story of Director Valerie Hayes, is a constant, powerful reminder that true authority lies not in the size of the weapon, but in the unwavering commitment to the Constitution that is held deep within the uniform. The fight for accountability is never over, but this story shows us that one moment of absolute composure can lead to sweeping, profound reform. Did Director Hayes' powerful response resonate with your own belief that the system can be fixed? We are a community built on resilience, truth, and the absolute power of narrative. If you have witnessed a systemic failure that was turned into a victory for justice, or if you have an idea for a massive policy change you'd like to see, please share your vision in the comments below. Let's keep this crucial conversation alive. We need your perspective to guide our future stories. And if you feel the weight, the power, and the honesty of these narratives, please subscribe. It's the highest honor you can give us, and it means we can keep shining a light on the truth that changes systems. Thank you for standing with us.